Welcome to the Book of Life, a show about Jewish people and the books we read. I'm Heidi Estrin. The Book of Life is a podcast service of the Feldman Library at Congregation B'nai Israel in Boca Raton, Florida. Additional support comes from the Association of Jewish Libraries. In this January 2007 episode of our podcast, we'll kick off the new year with new award-winning books and new musical groups. We'll start by talking to Rachel Kamen, chair of the Sidney Taylor Book Award Committee for Jewish Children's Literature. Rachel will tell us about the 2007 winners of the award, which were announced in early January. Next, we'll hear from Groyse Metsi'e, a new Israeli group that performs Jewish progressive klezmer music. We'll speak to Ann Redisch Stampler, a reteller of folktales, about her book Shlemazel and the Remarkable Spoon of Pohost, which won a Sidney Taylor Book Award silver medal. And finally, we'll learn about the Book of Life joke contest. Start thinking about what joke you'd like to share as you settle back and listen to the Book of Life. Rachel Kamen is Director of Libraries at Temple Israel in West Bloomfield, Michigan. She also chairs the Sidney Taylor Book Award Committee, the body that awards medals to the best Jewish children's books each year. The committee is made up of librarians and other children's literature experts from across the country, and they read over 100 books each year as they seek out the best of the best. We spoke to Rachel in Manhattan during the midwinter meeting of the Association of Jewish Libraries, where the winning titles were officially announced. Rachel, tell us about the 2007 Sidney Taylor Book Award winner in the Younger Readers category.
Well, after much deliberation and reviewing a large number of very high-quality books, the committee has decided this year to grant the Gold Award to Hanukkah at Valley Forge by Stephen Krensky with illustrations by Greg Harlan. And it is a picture book about when George Washington met a Jewish soldier at Valley Forge and learned about the celebration of Hanukkah.
What was it about this book that was so special that made you decide to give it the award?
Well, I think, first of all, the committee was very impressed with the illustrations by Greg Harlan, and also about the uniqueness of the story and the way that the story makes a connection between the Jewish values and the celebration of Hanukkah and the shared values with the American Revolution, and how Hanukkah is about fighting for freedom, and the American Revolution was about fighting for freedom.
Great. What is the winner in the Older Readers category?
In Older Readers, the committee chose the book Julia's Kitchen by Brenda Ferber, which is a middle grade novel about a young girl named Kara who tragically loses her mother and her sister in a house fire. And through the course of the book, she and her father need to cope with this loss. It sounds like a very sad, depressing book, but readers are very surprised by how heartwarming it is and uplifting it is as you go with Kara on her journey towards healing and her journey towards finding her own spirituality and her own comfort with her views of God.
And what about this book makes it unique?
Brenda Ferber had this wonderful ability to really authentically capture the voice of Kara, a fifth grade girl.
Now, this year the committee is awarding a medal for teen books for the first time. Why will you be making this change?
Well, over the last couple of years, the committee has been receiving more and more wonderful books with Jewish content that are really more geared towards the YA readers for the 7th through 12th grade. And it's becoming more difficult to kind of lump the older readers all into one category, evaluating a book like Julia's Kitchen, which is really for that middle grade, 4th, 5th, 6th grader, with a book that is really geared towards 8th, 9th, and 10th graders. And this year, it just exploded, and there were so many wonderful submissions that the committee felt that it was impossible to include them all into one category. So we have decided to create a third category of the award, and it will be the Association of Jewish Libraries Young Adult Award. And the first winner this year will be The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak.
How did The Book Thief stand out?
The Book Thief stood out because, while there is a lot of Holocaust literature written for this age group, the unique perspective of, number one, The Book Thief is narrated by death, which obviously is very unique, and also that it's really told from the perspective of a non-Jewish German girl, an everyday person trying to live an everyday life during the middle of World War II. And through this young girl, the readers get really a different perspective on World War II and the Holocaust.
So you've told us about the winners of the gold medals Are any other books being recognized in any way?
Oh, yes. In all 3 categories, honor award winners will be announced. And the Sidney Taylor Book Award Committee also develops a notable book list. So we have the award winners, the honor winners, and then a list of notable books of Jewish content. And this information will all be available in the next couple of days. Watch the website, www.sydneytaylorbookaward.org, for the most current up-to-date information.
Rachel Kamen, thanks so much for speaking with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Heidi.
Most of the CDs reviewed on the Book of Life are things I've already been listening to, but this month we feature a proactive new band from Israel that contacted me to let me know about their work. Shai Perelman plays guitar for the group, a Groyse Metsi'e, which combines traditional Jewish melodies with funky grooves, hip-hop ambiance, and rock and roll power. Their first CD, also called a Groyse Metsi'e, is now available at CD Baby and iTunes, and the track we're listening to, called Hey, is included on the J-Dub compilation Rooftop Roots, Volume 2. I spoke to Shai via Skype at his home in Pardes Hana, Israel. Shai, tell us about the music of a Groyse Metsi'e.
Our music is based mostly on the traditional music from Jewish culture. Some of the tunes are composed by us, but influence of this culture also, like reggae or jungle or rock.
What does the name a Groyse Metsi'e mean?
Groyse Metsi'e, in Yiddish, it means a big finding, a bit of sarcasm in it. When you bring something that it's not so good, they say to you, it's not such a Groyse Metsi'e. We have that kind of humor in our music, so we wanted our name to be a little sarcastic also. It said that we don't take ourselves seriously.
How have audiences responded to a Groyse Metsi'e?
People very much liked it, and it made them laugh and feel happy, I think this is what we do music for.
Can you tell us about your new CD?
And we wanted to make a demo CD, and we started recording it. And then we realized that it's very good music. We can publish it as a real CD. And then we released the CD about a month ago. So it's very live, and some parts of it are improvised. So we like the music like this. The message we want to bring in our music is a message of the truth and the hope that Jewish culture can bring to Jewish people and to the whole world. Music is a special kind of language which every person can understand. The music language that we choose because of this speciality of this language.
Shai Perelman, thanks so much for speaking with us.
Thank you very much, Heidi. It was a pleasure to talk with you.
As you may remember, the Sidney Taylor Book Award Gold medalists, named earlier by Rachel Kamen, were all interviewed on our podcast during 2006, and links to those interviews are provided in the show notes for today's episode. However, now we want to hear from one of the newly announced silver medalists, Ann Redisch Stampler. Her book Shlemazel and the Remarkable Spoon of Pohost is a 2007 Sidney Taylor honor book. Her earlier book, Something for Nothing, was named a Notable Children's Book of Jewish Content by the Association of Jewish Libraries in 2003. We spoke to Ann by Skype at her home in Los Angeles, California. Ann, tell us about Shlemazel and the Remarkable Spoon of Pohost.
Well, Shlemazel and the Remarkable Spoon of Pohost is an Eastern European folktale that I learned from my grandmother, who came to the United States as a small child from the village of Pohost. It's the story of a Shlemazel who is tricked by his friends into believing that through using the amazing, remarkable spoon of Pohost, he will be able to find his luck.
So you first heard this story from your grandmother?
Yes. And in fact, I haven't really found the story anyplace else, so I was particularly eager to preserve it. I am hoping that at some point someone else will come up with their version of it.
Shlemazel is not just a name, it's also a Yiddish word. Can you tell us about that?
Well, mazel, as in mazel tov, of course, is luck or good fortune. And when you put shle in front of it, Shlemazel, we have somebody who is without luck whatsoever.
By the end of this story, this lazy good-for-nothing guy has become an industrious baker with a pretty wife, but he still insists that he has no luck. In your opinion, is Shlemazel really lucky or not?
I see this story as the quintessential American immigrant, Eastern European folktale. I think that the point of the story, apologies to Tina Turner, is what's luck got to do with it? I see the story as having a very hopeful, optimistic message that, say, kismet, evil eye, luck, don't necessarily play a significant role in the success that can be achieved. And as part of what I love about this is I really see my grandmother's values expressed in the story.
Are there other ways that your grandmother is memorialized through this story?
Oh, yes. My grandmother was named Ida Shapiro. However, her original name was Shlemazel. And like so many other immigrants with foreign-sounding names, when she got to Ellis Island, the industrious fellow from the INS thought it didn't sound American, and he decided her name was Ida. And she went through life as Ida. And I always thought that she missed her village and she missed her name. And it was a real pleasure for me to be able to name the lovely baker, Shlemazel Mary's Shlemazel. Also, and quite astonishingly, although Jackie Cohen, the wonderful illustrator for this book, had never seen my grandmother or photographs of my grandmother, the first time I saw this book and I saw Shlemazel, her face and her expression were so familiar to me, reminded me so much of one of the very few photos I have of my grandmother when she was young. I was in tears.
The setting and characters in this story are Jewish. Beyond that, is this an inherently Jewish story?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I think that the way that Shlemazel is transformed is very specifically meant to depict developing Jewish values and becoming connected to his community.
Tell us about your earlier book, Something for Nothing.
Something for Nothing is another Yiddish folk tale, also illustrated magnificently by Jackie Cohen. And that one actually is based on a pogrom joke. It's a joke about the little tailor who is disturbed by rampaging Cossacks. Ultimately, he pays them increasing numbers of zlotys to be increasingly destructive, so that after the third night of destruction, they're absolutely wiped out. Finally, he tells them that he has run out of money, but will they please come back and destroy his home and his village just for the pleasure of it? And they respond that they won't give him something for nothing, and they refuse to bother him ever again. Now, so I retained the bones of the story, but redid it using a very clever dog and 3 rowdy hooligan cats. In telling it, I found a group of kindergartners that really wondered why it is the cats were so mean and wanted to engage in a conversation about why the cats would be motivated to bully the dog. So I think that, particularly with kids who are a little older than that, they're able to use the story to then look at the subtext and the older tale.
What is so special about folk tales? Why do you love them, and why do you want to share them with children?
folk tales are a unique way for each generation to connect with prior generations. It's a way to understand the culture, the lessons, the feelings, the humor that have all gone into making us who we are. Folk tales really shouldn't be treated as fossilized relics that need to be preserved intact. I see them as very vital, kind of living stories, and I think that we infuse the stories with our own feelings and predilections and values, and the stories then change in different locales and in different generations, different times, and become even richer and even more meaningful.
Do you have any new folk tales in the works?
Oh, I absolutely do. There are two of them. One combines a wonderful helm story, the story of the Mayor's Golden Boots, with a family story. The other story is kind of a mystical Hasidic tale that is attributed to the Baal Shem Tov's grandson.
Ann Redisch Stampler, thanks so much for speaking with us.
Oh, Heidi, thank you so much for inviting me to do so. It's been a pleasure.
Hi, this is Debbie from Boca Raton, and I hope you enjoy the joke. Okay, this is a joke that I used when I was teaching my children about a talit and giving them a lesson about that there are 613 knots in order to represent the different commandments. Okay. Mr. Schwartz goes to the dry cleaner, has his talit cleaned once a year right before the high holidays, and he brings it to the dry cleaner, and Benny is his dry cleaner, and he always gives it to him, and he comes back a week later, and he picks it up, and it's $15 for the talis to be dry cleaned. He comes back the following year, and he goes in there, and he goes, "Where's Benny?" He goes, "Oh, Benny sold me his store. He retired to Florida." And so he goes, "Oh, okay, well, I want my talis to be cleaned for the holidays." "No problem." So he goes and he gives him the talis, and Mr. Schwartz comes back a week later, and he says, "That'll be $35. He goes, $35? Benny only charged me $15. He goes, "Do you know how many knots I had to take out of that thing?"
That's good. Perfect.
We want your Jewish jokes for our joke show at Purim. Please send your clean Jewish jokes by email, by posting a comment on our website, by leaving a 2-minute My Chingo message, or by emailing us an MP3 recording. Listener-submitted jokes will appear on the Purim episode, and the best jokester will receive a copy of Jutopia, the chosen book for the chosen people, by Brian Fogel and Sam Wolfson, the guys who created the play Jutopia. Go to jewishbooks.blogspot.com for contact info and send in your jokes right away. Several of today's interviews were recorded using Skype, plus I've started using a new microphone. Please let me know what you think of the change in the sound of the show. Post a comment. Email our new address, bookoflifepodcast@gmail.com. Or, if your computer has a microphone, leave a 2-minute voice message by clicking on the My Chingo link on our website at jewishbooks.blogspot.com. The Book of Life is supported in part by the Association of Jewish Libraries, promoting Jewish reading by supporting Judaic libraries and librarians. Visit them on the web at jewishlibraries.org. Our background music is provided by the Freilich Makers Klezmer String Band from Sacramento, California, whose CDs feature upbeat music from Ashkenazic and Sephardic traditions with Brazilian, Gypsy, and Celtic influences. Borrow their CDs at the Feldman Library or buy your own copies at freilockmakers.com. To download episodes of the Book of Life podcast, visit us on the web at jewishbooks.blogspot.com. That's jewishbooks, one word, .blogspot.com. Links to the books and CDs mentioned on the show are available on this website. You can also hear the latest episode by phone. Just call 916-313-3820. Thanks for listening, and happy reading.